Maybe you've heard the scripture that God works all things together for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purpose. And when I hear that verse, it makes me shudder a little bit, because people have told me that scripture in some of the worst times of my life. People don't pull that one out on a good day. They pull that scripture out on a bad day. And for some reason, we look at that verse and we say, hey, you know this terrible thing that's happening to you? You know this tragedy? You know this pain that you're feeling? You know this difficult season that you're going through? God somehow has ordained and created it. And that is just not the case. God is at work for your good, no doubt. When I think about God chipping away at me, or kind of shaping me through the fire, or bending and remaking me into something better, I can get this wrong idea that God is hurting me for my good. But when we're going through pain and suffering, and when other people are going through struggles, it's important that we pay attention to how we talk about it. We don't want to make it sound like God is up to evil for our good, because he's not. He's up to good. And he is up to something good through the process. And he is, yes, refining us like you would refine something through fire. But the reality is that that's hard. And when you're going through it, it feels like it's very painful when you're being bent and shaped by your experiences. But God can even use that. He can take those painful, difficult circumstances, and he can even use those things for his good and his glory. That does not mean that God plans out a bunch of terrible things to happen to you to shape your character. He will shape your character through difficult things, but he is like a good father that's taking care of his children. And so when we think about being refined, when we think about being shaped, we can trust that his ultimate design is good and that he is up to good. So we're all gonna go through a refining fire. We're all gonna go through seasons that are awful. We're gonna go through difficult things, painful things, even though we love and are following Jesus. And our hope in the midst of that is found in the reality that he is with us and he loves us and he is trying to work things together for our good. So it's more like thinking about how God is in the background trying to take something that is an actual mess and use it even for his glory. And one of the main things that he's up to is shaping us into conformity to Christ. He is making us more like Jesus. And that sounds good until we realize that part of becoming like Jesus is entering into the very same suffering that Jesus did. Suffering is one of the main ways that we can connect with and understand and be conformed into the image of who Jesus is. We all sign up for spiritual growth, but we don't all sign up for suffering. And when suffering is happening, yes, God can even take that suffering and use it for his good. I do not believe that God is causing suffering so that you will grow. I don't believe that God is up to evil things to shape your character. God is up to good. And so it's really important to circle the word good in the scripture. Suffering can sometimes feel like it's being wasted. Like, I'm going through this horrible thing, I'm going through this painful thing for no reason. And it is good to know that God is going to take that and he's going to use it. You know, he's going to use it to make us conform into the image of Jesus Christ. So what might that look like? That could look like he's going to take this difficult thing and he's going to turn it into patience, or he's going to build this into maybe a deep compassion for people who struggle with the same problem. Or maybe he's going to open our eyes to a whole new passion and vision for our lives. God doesn't waste anything. He takes every tear and he keeps it in a bottle. God takes every bit of our suffering and struggle and he takes it and he uses it. And so we can know that God is with us through the fire. When people are going through difficult times and struggles, often they need us to be quiet and to walk through it with them. And you don't really see what God shaped that into for his greater good for a long time. It's in the rearview mirror. You're usually down the road a long ways before you realize, wow, that hard thing I went through, God has taken it and he has used it for his glory and his good. But man, when you're in the middle of it, you don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear how God's working it all out for his good. You need to hear that he's going to be with you through the fire. As we go through difficult times, as we walk with people through difficult, painful things, it's important to remember that yes, God does work all things together for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purpose. But what is his purpose? His purpose is for our good. God won't waste any difficult thing that you're going through. He will take it and he will use it for his glory and for his kingdom, and we can trust that he is good.